Hey, how's it going? I'm Walid Shaya.
I'm Kavita Raj.
And this is Lights,
Camera,
and
Conversation.
Hey, bestie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Cheers. I'm great. What have you been up to lately? What's new?
I
Tell me everything.
have been traveling a lot, and it is nice to be back from just various trips, small and large trips, and to catch up on business, family, and social life. And what I love about being back home is that I get to be with the cats. I get to be
your
with
kitties.
our baby pets, and they are our life. And just to feel grounded again, reconnected with all the work that needs to be done.
Yes.
Business goes on, and the work and the effort you put in goes on. So it
Yes.
is nice to have your routine back and to be able to reconnect with the people that you need to
Yes.
meet up with. How's
Yes.
your week been?
Yes, week's been good. You know, we're in a funny time now. Thanksgiving's around the corner. The holidays are right after that. So, especially in Hollywood land, you know, things get quiet around this time. Beyond SAG and strike and all that, things get especially quiet over the holidays. So, just trying to make the best out of this time while we have everyone's attention to finish up projects, latest draft of scripts, finish up selections for edits I'm making for the Darn It Darla short film we recently
Yes.
shot. Just get everything in a place where we can stop and take a break and breather and enjoy the time off.
Yeah.
And then dive back in the new year and pilot season in an organized fashion.
Yeah, is the holidays a good time for some of the students of acting, film, and TV to be taking like special workshops and lessons? I know it's not commonly done. It's not like regular classes are not in
Right.
session during the holidays. But I've seen in New York and LA that there are these like special workshops or special sessions for people that
Right.
just don't have the time otherwise in the year.
Absolutely. My studio does offer a December boot
Yeah.
camp and program. So,
I was gonna
LA
say.
Acting Boot Camp, for those of you that are actors interested. You work with 12 casting directors, agents, and managers over
wow.
3 days. So, that is in early December. It's before the holidays hit. What I have noticed is those programs are more for young artists, emerging artists, people coming in from out of town that want to utilize their winter break to check out Hollywood, to check out New York. So if you're, you know, listening to this and you're a young entrepreneur, you're a young dancer, singer, yeah, I think find a school trip, find a company that will bring you to these major cities
Yeah.
to do these camps and these workshops and these master classes over the holidays.
It is also important to note and remember that when my kids first learned acting and did workshops with you, you also taught them like the 360 of the business, which really kind of supports us jumping into today's topic,
Yes.
which is the artist-agent
Yes.
relationship.
Absolutely.
Right? That is something that you were teaching the parents, you were teaching the students from a very young age, the importance of understanding what the dynamic of that relationship is like, what your responsibilities are as an artist,
Yes.
as a parent,
Yes.
and what the agency's responsibilities are. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's every artist's goal, actor specifically, to get an agent because you'll need them to negotiate your contracts. You can work without an agent to start, but it'll get to a place where professionally you need this person and their knowledge and their access to the big auditions because you're
Correct.
not going to be able to get your hands on these big auditions unless 1 in a million you're discovered from something or someone's looking for you because you have a certain skill or talent, right?
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to need an agent. Now, I will tell you, even examples like shows like Law and Order, right? Or the CSI, or these procedural shows, they have such a quick turnaround. They shoot so fast, different episodes back to back, that most of the time I've heard those casting directors mention it's helpful for you to have an agent because there's too much paperwork, there's too much administrative responsibility in such a short time that they can't rely on the actor to be sufficient enough to get it turned around so quick.
Correct.
So that's one reason you might need an agent, down to, you know, getting you seen for commercial, film, TV, theatrical. Now for music, it's different, right?
Yeah. So for music, typically artists, emerging artists, established artists have music managers.
Managers.
Music managers is something that you know in your gut when you need one.
Okay.
You'll know when you're ready for one. You'll know when the amount of work is to a point where you need a manager to kind of take you to that next level. That's what it typically is. Managers' responsibilities could be bringing you opportunities, bringing you connections, relationships for you to produce new music, to create new content, and also to be able to perform. In the music world, the word agent typically refers to a booking agent. So it's an agent that helps you with live performances.
Is that like finding venues, getting your tour to the right route?
Exactly. Getting you to do opening acts, getting you, connected with people that are booking for larger artists, getting you to be able to perform at specific venues of note.
Right.
And eventually helping you plan your own tour, chart that, and do all the negotiations for you. So they are really very well versed in that subject matter. So that is what it means. And in both scenarios, as an emerging artist, you'll know when you are ready for that, you need it, because the amount of, kind of work coming your way is getting to that point.
Absolutely. So for those just starting out, just so we can clarify our terms, in the acting world, we also have managers.
Yes.
And they're separate from agents.
Correct.
An actor can have both an agent and a manager.
Correct.
But
so it's a little gray area. It's not exactly like a...
But they're both so hard to get.
Exactly.
So for me, the answer is either. Yeah. Which one should you get first? Whichever one will give you a meeting.
Right.
Because managers in New York and LA, you can ask, but most do submit for acting projects. While most other states, managers are not permitted access to breakdowns, is what it's called. So managers can also serve with submissions as well, but the actor has to close the deal and do the negotiation. Managers can't negotiate contracts. They can give you advice, guidance, but the actor will close the deal. When you have an agent, the agent will close the deal. That's the whole job. The agent's similar to, like you said, booking agent. Well, they really are a booking agent for actors, but the terms have found a gray area, but I always tell any of my clients, go for whoever gives you the meeting first.
Right.
Generally speaking, you're going to hear manager if you're just starting out, because they can be a little more hands-on. They can be more like a coach in a way to point you in the right direction for classes, for headshots, for all the things that you'll need when you meet an agent that they'll expect ready to go. Now listen, some agents, they have a manager's touch. They're going to do those things that I just mentioned. Right. They're still going to be hands-on. But most of the time, the agent's main job, their only job, is to find submissions and work for you, pitch you to that job, and negotiate your contract. Their job isn't really to prepare you for that job, or to prepare your portfolio or materials, or to prepare a strategy and connections. That's really more on the manager's end. Again, it's not black and white. There are agents who do that. Yeah. But generally speaking, that's a manager's job. So people will say, find a manager first if you're just getting started. But if you have the basics, if you have what it needs to work with an agent, reach out to an agent. Because you do have to pay a manager 15%. That's general. And there's no union or really... corporation, government entity, nothing holding managers accountable for what percentage they take. I could be your manager and ask you for 100%, right? Yeah. But 15 is industry standard. Okay. And then if you get an agent, it's usually 10% is union standard. And then if it's commercial or print, it can go up to 20%.
Okay. And I remember learning all of this so well from you and, the whole period when you were doing these workshops, educating new parents in this journey. And I have to say that when you go through that experience, you really are kind of in a little bit of a protected environment, where you are meeting people who are legit, which is not to be confused for a legit agent, which is a whole other thing. But people who are in the business, who are really going to bring you these opportunities. And there was a point when my kids had both back when they were acting, and that was just a great experience, because they were both doing their respective pieces of the work and bringing them more opportunities to audition. Talking about many years back.
Yeah, and both your kids got their first agent working with me, and I remember both of them. we're always prepared. You did such a great job of making sure they showed up and they wanted to.
Yeah.
Right? It was on both Laura or Rhea, their own accord.
Right.
And whenever the agent sent them auditions, they did a great job and they got it in time.
Right.
And I think that speaks volumes, especially just starting off in any new relationship working with an agent. So today I do want to speak not just about how to get an agent. There's so much more that goes into it beyond what I just said. How to find an agent, where to look, what you'll need to be prepared with your acting portfolio, the types of headshots you need, the types of filmed demo reel scenes, or if you don't have that yet, self-tapes as placeholders. All that is its own thing. We can spend a whole episode on that. So I'll leave our listeners to find a trusted acting coach. Reach out to myself in my studio at Studio for Performing Arts. We teach this. My profession is business of acting in the digital age. My niche, you know that I love this. But that is its own thing. But beyond that today, I want to expand to talking with you, Kavita, about the agent-artist relationship. For you also being a parent, how you communicate with the agent of your children. What are some things they might expect that you need to be ready for? What are some things that you expect that they should know when finding certain auditions or not certain types of auditions if your kids aren't available or willing to do certain types of content? And then, where can someone find their big break? Is it all in all the agent's job? Is it a combination of factors? So we want to go deep into the agent-artist relationship today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that in response to one of these things you were saying about whose responsibility is it to grow your career? It's like you're in a partnership. You both have to do the work, right? Your agent is responsible for bringing you opportunities, but then someone like you really helps us navigate through that catch-22 situation where you're like, okay, then how will an agent bring you opportunities if you're not putting in the work? So whether it is lessons, workshops, preparing yourself, getting demo reels. I think you used to literally was like a mantra. You used to keep saying demo reels,
demo reels, yes.
Creating content is demo
content.
reels, right? So whether it is working with a professional, getting it in a specific format and putting demo reels out, even if you haven't had real life experience, it's so valuable. And once you have those, that will lead to opportunities.
Correct.
And then taking the opportunity you have, whether it's a small part, a large part, a small production, a large production, making a demo reel out of that, adding that to your portfolio helps your situation, and then putting in that constant work, keeping yourself out there. And maybe now as an actor, I don't know about that journey, but in music for sure, social media is very important.
Yes.
Putting out your content, putting out your music, putting out your work so people can see you and find you.
Yeah, social media plays a big part for actors in terms of agent-actor or agent-artist relationship. Social media is helpful, I know, for a lot of commercial jobs. I know my commercial agent, every now and then, if the job says this casting's for a person with a group of friends, or a guy on a hike, or a guy having dinner, they might go to my Instagram and actually find a picture of me at dinner, or find a picture of me with my friends, find a picture of me hiking. Those are all things I normally do, and they'll use that to submit. Or casting might be narrowing down their list to you and a couple others, and they want to get to know you a little more. So they're going to look you up. They're going to see your social media. They're going to see what's in your arsenal, right? So yes, I do think, being able to have access to content is so important. Kavita, can you imagine someone trying to be a singer without a music track?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
What does that even mean, right? Same thing with acting. How can you be an actor without video of you acting? Right?
Yeah.
And so those are the foundation tools that I really drill in, because you have to start somewhere. And then from there, now we're communicating with our agent, okay? So let's say we have representation, whether it's an agent or a manager, all right? What would you say is the appropriate amount of communication with them? Is it daily, weekly? Does it depend? And how do we lay out that foundation with that person?
I think it has to be when it's organic, natural. There's work coming around. They're submitting you for a project. You are asking them about projects. You're inquiring about something that they may not have submitted you for, but you heard that such and such project is happening, and you kind of want to be considered for it. So you're asking them, if there's a chance of you getting submitted for it. So reminding them, so to speak, right? But having that connection and definitely being communicative after you get an audition, telling them why you can do it, why you can't do it, what's the status of that, follow-up, feedback. Everything is just an opportunity to stay connected with them. And it is so important to stay connected because you're on top of their mind. They love your follow-up, and they should appreciate the fact that you're on top of your career. And it's very important to keep them also in the loop. But also it is very important to have that fine balance of being a professional, doing the auditions that come your way, because that is the agent's work that you're respecting, but also being honest and telling them in a very sincere fashion why you maybe cannot do a certain audition. And that could be a multitude of reasons. Or it could be something as simple as I'm sick, I'm traveling, or this or that. But it could also be a complex reason. Right? It's so important to have that open relationship with your agent or your manager. They may have sent you for an opportunity that you don't feel you're a good fit for. And I don't think it is respectful to the agent's time to not have that candid conversation with them. It is very important to have that so that both of you can be effective in that relationship.
I think you nailed it with several of the items you said. Let's just break it down and take a couple of them, right? First, you mentioned when you have auditions, to be in communication, I got it, we'll submit by the due date. Once it's submit, hey, this has been submitted. If you went in live in person, hey, just left, they said this to me. It was short and sweet. Hey, they actually kept me around for 2 hours today. Sometimes you might not think that's significant, this information you're sharing, but it might mean something in the big picture or be helpful for your reps to have a read on how you did. Now, I'm with you on asking your reps once in a while, hey, did you submit me for this project? Maybe you heard about it from a friend. Perhaps your acting coach tells you about a project. Perhaps you see a friend who's similar to you in type go in for something that you could be auditioning for. I think it's totally fine once in a while to ask your reps, hey, this is a big one for these reasons I'd be great for. Was I submitted? Although as an actor, you have to remember to trust your reps and that they are submitting you. I know asking questions like that too often is like asking your reps, are you doing your job? Are you submitting 100%. Me? But I do think you need to take advantage of when the time is to ask those questions. For roles that are so precise to your skills, so precise to your aura, to your attitude, to your personality. That role is written for you. Let's make sure you were submitted. Could be the role. It's not just another role. So yes, of course, we'll be in communication and ask, right? Beyond that, I tell actors once a month, I think is healthy. Send an email with a couple bullets, 3, 4, 5 bullets, very short and sweet. Hey, so-and-so, just wanted to fill you in on what I've been doing in the acting world lately. You know, just closed this show at so-and-so theater. Finished writing my final draft of such and such. In class for accents and stage combat at this place. Taking dance classes at so-and-so, right? Whatever it is, update them. Recently had a seminar with casting director such and such, and they gave me this feedback. And so I think that's huge too. If you're taking classes, like you said, if you're going to festivals and you meet someone, let your reps know. And you should have an ongoing list, a shared Google Doc, for example, of people that know you. So your reps can see who's in your network and can refer to that when they pitch you.
Right, absolutely. And when you are doing performances or workshops where you're not getting paid for them or you are paying for those lessons, it's great to let your agent know that you're doing that developmental work on your own time so that they know that the work is being put in and they're aware of your progress. And I think that you can't go wrong with communicating frequently unless the communication is unnecessary. And then there's a fine line, as you just said, is that be careful when you are communicating with them that the tone is trusting, the tone is respectful, the tone is, mutually healthy, productive, constructive, right? And
I think the first time you meet with your agent after you've officially signed or your manager, that's really the most critical meeting. Artists often ask, what kinds of questions should I ask in my first agent meeting? And I think one of the top questions you should ask is, How do you like to be kept in touch with? What kind of communication do you prefer from your actors? Do you prefer phone calls? Do you prefer text? At that first meeting, you got to ask. Some people will say email is fine. We prefer email. Only call if it's an emergency. And at that meeting, not only are you going to ask, what's the best way to communicate with you? You're going to tell them, what are some expectations you have of me? You're going to ask them that. And you're going to tell them, here are some expectations I have for the types of projects I will and won't do. So instead of, hey, this project actually talks about this content and I'm not comfortable with it, let's not wait till you get the audition for when your agents have worked hard to get you an appointment to which thousands of actors wish they got, but only a couple dozen or a couple hundred get. Let's have these conversations early on with our reps so that they know, I don't do nudity. I don't do anything where the character's doing drugs or smoking. I don't do anything promiscuous. I don't want to kiss anyone on screen. And listen, maybe you are comfortable with that and these things don't apply to you. Perhaps you know, I have friends, myself being a brown boy, who in the business don't want to play taxi cab drivers, friends that are, you know, like me in this business. They don't want to play stereotypical roles the Middle Eastern men play. For me, I'm like, who cares? It doesn't bother me. I'm like, I'll play a taxi man driver. I'll make him the coolest taxi man driver you've ever seen on screen. Give him depth and dimension. But, you know, those are the important topics to come to the table with at the very first meeting. And then to figure out, what is the communication style?
That is such wise advice because people often miss doing that, right? For a multitude of reasons, you don't end up having that initial conversation where you set the expectations right. And then it becomes complex and it becomes a little bit like, well, why are you saying no to this audition? What is your real reason for saying it? One of the other reasons, as you said, it could be a professional decision, it could be a personal, it could be a moral, it could be a cultural, so many different factors. It could be like a, social reason. Like, for example, we're in 2023. There is so many amazing actors to play culturally relevant roles that even if you look like someone, and we've touched upon this in a previous episode. So there's this terminology in casting called ethnically ambiguous, where you look like a multitude of different cultures physically, but can you really play that part? Are you good with that language? Are you good with the accent? And just because you may be able to pull off an accent or a language, should you do it? So there are all of these different like gray areas that you have to address. And who better to have this conversation with but your agent?
Correct, yeah.
And sometimes it's okay if you don't have it initially, but you have to have it at some point.
Right, and they can offer you guidance and their 2 cents that might change your mind, or it might keep you, keep you, in your standing as well, depending on you getting more information. Because this is someone who, for me, when people say, "What should I look for when I find an agent?" Look for someone you can look up to, someone who has more answers than you, more connections than you, more of a network, because you need to grow, you need to reach and achieve and be taken under someone's wing, right? And in addition, a topic that, a subject you should have with your rep when you first start working with them is how much money you're willing to take for jobs and how far you're willing to travel. I think that's also important.
Absolutely. And I think that these are all very important technical conversations to have ahead of time. And as that relationship evolves, you're growing with each other, learning from each other, and giving the other person an opportunity to convince you maybe to actually do something, because the social norms are ever changing. Social standards and norms and cultural situations are ever evolving. So maybe they'll have a good reason for you to actually do something, and then you do it, and both of you grow with that experience. How do you navigate through that situation where there's a transition between agents, or you need to end one relationship and start another? Are there, just like in any relationship, is there a good way to do that because it's a professional relationship? Of course, honoring a contract, navigating the contract is the most important thing, and you've got to honor that in any situation.
Right. Gracefully, right? And like you said, honoring the contract. So sometimes you're in a contract and you can't honor it. You still have another year till it expires, but you want to get out. At the end of the night, just having a conversation, is best before taking any action. I know agent and manager friends of mine do get upset when their actors cold turkey just want to walk out. And you've never talked to me before about what's upsetting you.
Yeah.
You know, do you not like the kinds of roles you're being submitted for? Do you not think we're submitting you and you're not getting much? Maybe there's a reason. Maybe we've asked you to get new shots and you haven't. Maybe the industry is just slow for your type. Maybe, you know, you need to get in a certain class. But I think the conversation needs to be had first. In my experience, most of the time, these people are just like, go. Because if you don't want to be there and you don't want to work with them, they don't want someone who doesn't want to work with them. It gets more challenging when you are a figure, you are more of a name, and they don't want to lose someone who is constantly bringing them money and you're under contract. It will be harder to end your contract if you're making money.
Right. That makes sense. If you're making money, but then that's the thing, right? I think if everyone's intention and actions align and you're taking the right steps, you have done your best to communicate with them. You have reached out. There is evidence of you having reached out to have a conversation. And in the situation that you really have not heard back or you've gotten like a very delayed response, then I think that having this past evidence is helpful when you try to renegotiate the terms of this relationship. So.
Correct, yeah. And, you know, another part of it, too, is I wouldn't leave a rep that I have until I know I've secured different reps.
Sure.
Okay?
Right, exactly. And that definitely eases the situation a bit. But I think handling it professionally with respect, honoring your contract at all times.
Yes.
And asking in a situation where they haven't responded is the right way to do it, rather than like just, you know, kind of the worst thing you can do professionally is to kind of burn a bridge and, you know, have like a certain reputation that just is not flattering.
Yeah. A really interesting question I was once asked in an interview with a manager. I was interviewing with a manager, the same one who told me they don't prefer phone calls because they have bad hearing. They had asked me, tell me your agent history and manager history. They didn't say, tell me about your acting careers. They said, tell me about your agent manager history. What agencies and managers have you worked with to date? And they wanted to see, what agencies do I have connections with? Have I crossed paths with, whether it's DC, New York, or here in LA? What managers do I know? How long have I been around in the market? Am I a fresh face, or am I someone who's been passed around and molded a bit and, you know, grown a bit and malleable? And that's what they wanted to find out. It was a great question.
Yeah, smart question on their part, right? They want to know your network. And they want to know who they're working with. So at the end of the day, I think this is a very important relationship in the life of an artist, whether you're an actor or a singer, and navigating that like you do with every other valuable relationship with respect and, you know, best of intentions, but professionally is key from both sides. But you can only control what you can do.
And with that said, I do want to talk a little bit about the expectation from your agent and manager that you have and the trust, because a lot of actors will, you know, not really ever see the amount of action, the amount of energy and attention that goes on behind the scenes for each actor. But I think what you need to know is you're being submitted. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. They're picking up the phone. They're pitching you. They're sending emails in addition to submitting you when you're perfect for certain roles. They are seeing offers for classes and discounted headshots and tools that their actors might need and sending it to the group. They're trying in so many ways to just keep you on front of mind and keep you moving forward with a group. Even if the needle is just ticking, you know, just one small tick each day, there is so much work that our agents and managers do. And listen, there are big agencies where actors do become a number and they get lost. And if you really feel that, that is the conversation. But otherwise, when you're in an agent or manager relationship that should be healthy and nurturing and moving, you're not going to see, it's like an iceberg. Most of it's underwater. You're not going to see the action they're putting in most of the time, but you need to trust it. And you'll find out by, obviously, the auditions you're getting, but also by conversations and by growing your relationship with this rep. And that's why, again, it goes back to what we just said. It's so important to talk to these people before you decide to leave them or not. And some actors will, let's say, book something on their own through a connection they have, or book something through an agent, and but perhaps they have a manager as well. And now they're salty and they don't want to pay their manager. Well, I booked this myself. I don't want to pay my agent or manager. Well, my agent booked this for me. Why do I have to pay my manager? Well, this one thing you booked is one thing you booked, but you've been, submitted for a million things. These reps are getting 15, 10% of this one thing, but it accounts to pay for all the time every day that they're essentially working for you for free.
Marketing constantly.
Marketing you constantly, getting your face out there.
100%. And all of these submissions, all of those audition experiences, all of that work doesn't amount to nothing. They all, whether you book or don't book a role, first of all, you wouldn't even stand a chance of booking it unless you had that audition. But let's just say even if you don't, all of that is adding to your artist brand. It's all adding to your body of work, like you said. There's a multitude of reasons why you get the next one because of something you've done in the past. So it is important to honor and respect that relationship. And
let's talk about that. You said you might get a job because of something you've done and not your agent.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you think that affects the agent-manager relationship? The agent-artist relationship, excuse me.
Yeah, it is interesting. I come from the school of thought that regardless of whether you booked it or not, it's a long-term relationship, and you're investing in, like, say, it's a 2-year contract. You're investing in that 2-year dynamic or a 3-year dynamic. It is important to think long-term. Yes. So you may be paying an agent a 10% of something that a manager brought you, but it's a dynamic.
Right.
And you honor that from your side and you do it. And I come from the school of thought and the belief that this will all pay long-term.
Yes.
And you'll end up having, like, a certain reputation that just carries forward with you as an artist. And it goes from one agency to another, and that relationship doesn't change. The dynamic doesn't change because you come in with that professional, honoring mentality.
We're here for a while. We're here long-term. We're here to build the career to be the biggest it could be.
Right. I don't think it's kind of myopic to think of one little job and be like, oh my God, I don't want to pay this person or that person, because I think that in the long term, it's goodwill. Yes. You're also investing in that relationship.
Absolutely. And listen, there might be red flags to where you should not be investing with someone. If you ever get emails late or something sent to you that is with poor grammar or doesn't make sense, or the details and dates are wrong, someone unorganized, someone missing meetings or calls they sent with you, not hearing from someone for a while, these are all reasons for concern. And you voice those before making a change, because there might be a reason you didn't know, you know? Mm-hmm. So now, Kavita, I want to move on to our pop culture segment. Okay, we haven't had a pop culture segment in a while because we've had some amazing special guests, and we always want to give them time on our platform to share their incredible stories.
It's never enough time.
It's never enough time. Our guests have been incredible, and more guests to come for those of you listening and tuning in. What I want to talk to today is this dropped on social media recently, I should say, that Rihanna's going to have a new album coming out next year. 2024, 2025, new album. Here for it. There's going to be a tour, apparently.
She has listened.
She has.
I asked and she listened.
You asked and she listened. I sent that news post to some friends, and the replies have been hilarious. The replies, one friend said, "I'll believe it when I hear it." Okay. And I always make a joke. You've heard this before, that she's my celebrity nemesis. Rihanna's my celebrity nemesis because she's playing me. She's playing all of us. She's playing us like a fiddle. She won't give us new music. She gave us that Wakanda, Lift Me Up, Bring Me Down song. What do those lyrics even mean? That is not a dance hit that I've been waiting for years for. And she's even had memes, where she said, I'll give you cookware, I'll give you makeup, I'll give you baby clothes, but I won't give you new music till I'm ready to give you new music.
She gave us Super Bowl.
But no new music at the Super Bowl. Was she iconic in her red jumper with that choreo?
Yes.
Was I watching it with my eyes glued to the screen? But did she play me again at the Super Bowl, my celebrity nemesis, Rihanna? She sure did.
Yeah, we're all obsessed with her. So what she's going to put out, I will be just waiting. I'll be holding my breath. I will be waiting, and I will believe. I'm just going to hope that it happens, and imagine an evolved sense of music, of what she's gone through in life. Like now she's got a family. So maybe her new music is like just the next stage of her life evolution and growth. And
I'm
what a
excited to
beauty.
find out.
What a
I mean,
beauty.
especially with the bar being raised by Beyonce and Taylor Swift and the artistry that we're seeing at these concerts now, the media, the technicalities. She's going to bring something new. And also, she's not the same Rihanna we saw on tour a decade ago,
Yeah.
right? She's a new, refined, just like fine wine,
Yeah.
better than ever Rihanna. And I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt.
100%. Her confidence, her innate confidence is something that we all see and feel and aspire for. So I'm here for it. Cannot wait.
Cannot wait for it. For those of you tuning in on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you stream your podcasts, give us a like, give us some love.
Yes.
And then on social media, let us know what you think. Are you a Rihanna fan, or are you like me and is she your celebrity nemesis, just waiting for new music, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, please share. And we are still a new podcast. So we would love all the love and the support and the feedback. So thank you very
Yes.
much for tuning in.
And we'll be back soon with new topics, new
Yes.
special guests, and more. With that said, I'm Walid Shaya.
I'm Kavita Raj.
And this is Lights,
Camera,
and Conversation.
Thank
Cheers.
you all. Cheers, Christy.
Hey, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow on Instagram and TikTok. We love interacting. Also, the content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, which we love, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from Lights, Camera, Conversation or our individual authors, hosts, or guests. Nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. We always encourage you to do your research. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Lights, Camera, Conversation. The views expressed by speakers are their own, and their appearance on our program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity that they represent. Thanks for listening, and until next time, have a great day.